Please welcome back to the stage Global Citizen co-founder and CEO Hugh Evans and CEO of 2.0, Her Excellency Mariam Almheiri.
Now, I am incredibly excited about this conversation, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Her Excellency Mariam Almheiri to Global Citizen now for the very first time. For those of you who want to know more about Mariam, she is a former UAE government minister and truly a tireless advocate for the planet. It was under her leadership as the chief climate minister that the Emirates hosted COP28, and she's joining us here today in her role as CEO of 2.0. Mariam and I had the, yes, that deserves a round of applause, absolutely. Mariam and I had the chance to talk earlier this year at the World Economic Forum. While I was telling her about Global Citizen's mission and our work, it was very clear that there were so many synergies between the region and our movement, and we are so happy to have you with us today. Welcome to New York City.
Thank you so much, Hugh. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I love the vibes in this room. Thank you so much for being here with us. I just want to tell the audience, if you don't mind, Hugh, about the United Arab Emirates. We're a small country next to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, 53 years old, mostly known for the cities Abu Dhabi and Dubai. If you look at the women empowerment there, 30% of the women are represented in the cabinet, 50% of parliament are women. And you know, we've been talking a lot about women empowerment in the previous panels, and so I want to just tell the audience of where this all came from.
Can you, please?
So 53 years ago, we used to be trucial states. So basically, we had maritime truces with Britain. So Britain would give us protection while not interfering with our internal affairs. And then in 1968, His Highness Sheikh Zayed, who's our founding father, the late Sheikh Zayed, he basically said he knew that the Brits would withdraw very soon out of these agreements. So he said, why don't we form a federal union? And these trucial states were basically the 7 Emirates, making the United Arab Emirates. And so back 53 years ago, he formed the United Arab Emirates. And the beauty is, Hugh, he didn't do this by force or dominance. He did this through diplomacy, dialogue, and generosity. And that's the DNA that we are embedded with in our country.
And this is why I'm honestly fascinated by this story, because you shared this with me. Mariam and I had the pleasure of having dinner last night, and you shared with me that this was before oil was found in the Middle East. And when we think about certain parts of the Middle East, the UAE in particular, we think of it as a global hub. We think about, you know, the resources. We think about the amazing architecture. I often think that, and put up your hand if you agree with me, I'm from Australia, as you can probably hear with my accent. Put up your hand if you don't feel like you know enough about the Middle East. I just want to see a show of fascinating. See, I'm one of those people. Can you help us myth bust a bit? Help us, take us back. You're 53 years old. It's one of the youngest nations on this earth. And yet you're a flourishing economy. I had the privilege of spending time in Abu Dhabi a few months ago, and I was blown away. Can you help us understand some of the myths and what we all should know about the Middle East that we don't know yet?
Of course. So now when our founding father, and again, I go back to visionary leadership as being one of the key drivers of bringing us to where we are today. And the beauty of the dialogue and the generosity that the late founding father led the country with, he built schools. And the first school he built was not just a boys' school, it was a girls' school. He already identified at a time when it was actually very rare to say girls need education. Now, if you look at the literacy rate in the UAE, it's more than 98%. So we've got a very high literacy rate. And when you see also the women in government positions, in schools, in hospitals, you see that all stemmed from him understanding that girls and women need to have access to education. And he always said, 50% of my community are women and girls. And the mothers are basically the teachers of the next generation. That's how beautiful he was already thinking about it. He
So
made
the
sure,
mothers are the teachers of the next generation.
Yes, yes. So he understood that, I mean, going home and doing homework, if the moms can't help, and that was in those days, with homework, then it would also be affecting the boys as well. And so he built hospitals, he built infrastructure, and I'm sure many of you know Emirates Airlines, Etihad Airways. I mean, we've got some of world-class infrastructure. Just thinking of this small country that was 50 years ago about 300,000 people is now 10 million. And I mean, we're on the world, on the globe on so many events. I mean, COP28 was one of them. But we're really big advocates for bridging or building bridges with countries. We have the Abrahamic House, which is also such a unique...
Yeah, you mentioned that. You explain that? That's really important.
Yeah, so the Abraham Accords was signed a few years back, and so the Abrahamic House basically is a synagogue, a church, and mosque all in one place. And isn't that beautiful when you can say 200 nationalities in this country are living together in coexistence and respecting each other? And it all comes down to...
Yeah, that deserves... Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And I really say this all comes down to the visionary leadership we have. And His Highness Sheikh Mohammed today, our president, he's the son of the late founding father. And the consistency we've had through his father and then his brother, the late Sheikh Khalifa, and now Sheikh Mohammed, has just been consistent in the values of empowering women, empowering youth, building the nation, and then building bridges as well with the world.
Wow. Thank you for explaining that. And I promise this is going to be a long conversation we're going to continue to have because I'm so interested in this. You've obviously had a very storied role in government, and you are now the CEO of 2.0, which leverages AI technology to facilitate energy transitions. Can you talk a bit more about the marriage between technology and energy?
Sure. So yeah, I was the Minister for Climate Change and Environment, and COP28 was kind of my last big event. And the funny thing was the leadership said to me, okay, Mariam, enough talking. You need to walk the talk now. So with that, 2.0 was created as an investment platform, really driving, investing, co-investing, doing acquisitions globally in ensuring that we are enabling AI, we're accelerating the energy transition and empowering communities. So that's what 2.0 is about. And we invest in 6 different verticals. We're in the mining business, we're in cryptocurrency, we're in pushing the renewable energy transition, really looking at new battery storage systems. So it's so exciting because we believe that new economies are based exactly on those 2 pillars, energy and AI, and they both need each other. Energy needs AI, and AI needs energy. And so 2.0 was really built with that purpose in mind to execute all the announcements we've done over the years on saying the UAE wants to now become a hub for renewable energy. I mean, I don't know if you know, Hugh, our GDP, 73% of our GDP is non-oil based.
73%?
Yes. And
Wow.
so a lot of people don't know that. Of course, we started our journey using the wealth of the oil, but we're driving away from that because we understand that this is a finite source, and we also want to expand and diversify our economy. So going into these 2 pillars, which we believe are the pillars of the new economy, is exactly what 2.0 is supporting.
Wow. I love our conversations because I always learn a lot. And Mariam, I know you're a parent, and I really enjoyed meeting your son at the World Economic Forum. He's really cool. When we think about, you know, the sort of future that we want to create together, and the sort of future we want to leave for our kids, do you feel optimistic, and where do you find your greatest source of hope?
I do feel optimistic, just because I've seen, so first of all, I think we all see how AI has really disrupted our lives across the world. The way we live, how we work. it's really become an advisor for us as well in so many aspects. I mean, I've been through episodes in my life where in the middle of the night something would happen, and again, it comes down to my son, and I'd be like, okay, what do I do? And of course, some of these tools are very powerful in giving you quick knowledge, but also knowing of the global challenges that we face in water security and food security and energy security. I really feel this is a tool, when used properly, could really help humanity in protecting the planet, protecting communities, and so I feel it can really promise a better future for our children if used correctly. And so that's like my optimism in saying I feel AI will really help us get to a better place.
Well, I think the fact that you're, I mean, by the way, that was so beautifully said, but I think the fact that you're investing in the AI technology means you're going to have a huge stake in its future. So I feel equally confident with that in mind. And I want to thank you so much for making time to be with us today. Thank you for making the journey. For those who want to visit the UAE, what is the best time of year for us to go if we were to go?
Yeah, so we are a hot desert climate in the UAE, and so I would say probably around October till April are the great months. I mean, we have sunshine all year round. It just gets a little bit humid and hotter from now until October. But I always say, isn't it beautiful that the whole world is just full of these different diversified places that, okay, when it gets too hot in one place, you just go to the next one and enjoy the time there. So that's why it's great being here in New York while it's getting hotter at home.
Well, we're thrilled you're here. Ladies and gentlemen, Her Excellency Mariam Almheiri. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.